elections?
Trickle-down economics. So what was the actual effect on African Americans in this country? Let's go through the actual numbers, and folks, anybody can look at this up. It's public information. You can look this up for yourself, okay? Black unemployment fell faster during Ronald Reagan's presidency than white unemployment. So white unemployment and black unemployment both went down. But black unemployment fell at a faster rate than white unemployment throughout Ronald Reagan's entire presidency. Blacks started businesses at a faster rate than white people started businesses. So you had an increase in white-owned businesses during the Reagan years, but you had a higher increase in black-owned businesses in America under Ronald Reagan years. The number of Americans living in poverty. When Ronald Reagan took office, it was 14%. When Ronald Reagan left office, the poverty rate was down to 11.6%. And by the way, most of the people in that poverty rate were African Americans, just statistically. It's the way that it is. White household median income. Now this is the median income for white households in America, okay? When Ronald Reagan came into office from when he left office. When he left office, white household median income had gone up 68% during the Ronald Reagan years. It's pretty good, 68%. Black household median income went up 84% during the Ronald Reagan years. By the way, according to the liberal Joint Center for Policy Studies, again, this is a left-wing organization, the Joint Center for Policy Studies, the black middle class from 1980 to 1988, Ronald Reagan's 8 years in office, the black middle class grew by 33%. 33%. And black employment grew at a whopping 24.9%, which, by the way, was twice the rate of the growth of white employment. So I want to make sure everybody's clear on this. Black employment increased, so did white employment in America. But black employment was double the rate of white employment growth during the Ronald Reagan years. Wait a minute, I'm confused here. I thought it was trickle-down economics, and it's just all about helping white people. I'm not done. Inflation. Who does inflation hurt more than anybody else? It hurts the poor more than anyone else. Because, see, the rich can afford inflation. The rich can afford when it's more expensive to buy a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk. The rich can handle that. They can absorb that. It's the poor that can't afford to pay more for something. When Ronald Reagan took office, inflation was 13.5%. When he left office, it was 4.1%. That helps the poor more than anybody else. Charitable giving. Can we all agree that charitable giving helps the poor? Do you know that charitable giving during Ronald Reagan's 8 years in office more than doubled in America? More than doubled. According to the U.S. Census during the 1980s, for just 1980 through 1987, black household income grew 46% faster than white household income during Ronald Reagan's years. How about education? We hear so much about how important education is, and it is. When Ronald Reagan took office, white high school graduation rates were 82%. So 82% of whites graduated high school when he took office. Only 68% of blacks were graduating high school when he took office. When Ronald Reagan left office, white high school graduation rates were exactly the same. They stayed 82%. Black high school graduation rates shot up from 68% to 75% by the time he left office. Folks, those are the actual numbers of quote-unquote trickle-down economics. This is what happened with black America in this country during the Ronald Reagan years, when he was all about white people and corporations and didn't care about the poor. This is what Jesse Jackson said. He said Ronald Reagan's policies and Republican policies were, quote, hostile to black America. Which of those numbers I just presented to you would you consider hostile to black America? I got a little bit more on this. I'll share it with you next here on The Bob Duco Show.